Hello there, Outliers. Hello, hello. Niiamah Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. We're here today with an Outliers roundtable, and we get to spend our time with none other than the outlier, Jay Levin. Jay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending the time and sharing about your experience as an outlier, both now and with what's to come. We're glad to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Nice, nice. So Jay, we're gonna play the way that I like to start off each conversation is just to give outliers a chance to get to know you. So would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
So my background is in journalism. I've run six media companies. I started the largest, what turned out to, I grew to be the largest urban weekly in the country, the LA Weekly. I did this for about, my media career was 35 years. I'm also a social entrepreneur. In my life, I've started six nonprofits, most of them dealing with social issues, poverty being among them, money out of politics. The last two I've started deal with an education curriculum called social emotional learning, which I'm on a mission to get in every school in America and every home in America, because it takes one of the areas of my journalistic coverage for years, all my life, since I was 22 years old, was the human development movement, the skills and training to be healthy human beings in relationships and in our lives, and rather than uh, reorient the world around endless wars, conflicts, etc. It's based on the idea that skills, uh, all human pain, conflict, etc. 98% of it comes from lack of skills to know how to get along with our inner lives and our relationship lives. And so I'm focusing on getting this education for kids in every school. And I've worked a lot in the adult realm as well, even as a part-time life coach. And I understand the basics that we can all learn to have healthier, better lives and more loving, safer lives, because we can learn these skills. Therefore, we can have more peace, more prosperity, more happiness with skills to know how to get along with each other better and get along with our inner lives better. It's that simple.
Yeah, I love the simplicity behind that. As you say it, I feel like my own energy rising with it. Right. Some things that struck me as you were saying this was like, not only have you had a really fruitful, successful, and game changing career professionally, you continuously find new ways to not just create out in the world. But what got me was when you talked about the mission. I really felt that, Jay, coming in, and as a mission oriented person myself, I was listening to the connection between the high level mission that you have, and how you're able to bring that and break it down and kind of like bring it down to earth with like through the skills. It felt like this is the big thing that we're doing, and like part of the one of the ways that we do it is like really just making sure that people have the skills in order to be successful with it there. Um,
Mhm.
let me make sure I'm not oversimplifying part of that transition I heard, but that was actually really helpful for me as you brought it in.
Yeah, it's really hard to oversimplify. It's that
Yeah,
simple. If you
yeah,
think about all of human behavior, that's painful and negative, and wars and genocide, and me ripping you off, and some worrying about you ripping me off, and all our fear-based behavior, it's because we're maltrained to how to deal with it. And we learn to be in conflict from the day we come out of the womb, because the world is in conflict and the mindsets are in conflict. It's that simple. And what the educators who created the social emotional learning movement have proven, which I show you the first video on our website, Equip Our Kids, demonstrates, is that if you learn how to be with each other and yourself in healthy ways, which is a skill set, the outcomes are totally different, completely different. So the idea that we're going to blow ourselves up someday with nuclear weapons is always sits there. as a token or a symbol of the mindset we brought forward for endlessly. And, if we don't change the mindset and teach the skills, then, those generation after generation, we're going to have more wars, more fighting, more theft, more rip-offs, more everything negative. So the encouragement is, let's learn our way out of that bad history.
Nice, nice. As you're saying this, I'm going to play in probably like a couple different camps with you today, Jay. I want to start off like with where you were, like the things you were doing professionally with LA Weekly, and then
Mhm.
like and then I want to spend more time also here in the mission area as well. Do you mind if we play on both ends?
Play a little, play away.
All right, cool. So, like, and I think about this here because a lot of people who a lot of the outliers that listen to this, like, they're also very driven by mission, and they're also creating something right now, and they're and such. And while I'm talking about them, I'll just use myself as an example because I think it just makes everything a lot a lot cleaner, right? So you you spent like your career building out LA Weekly, like and like shaping things from that perspective. I'm really curious for you, like what is something that we hear about this now and we see the impact that you've had. I'm curious about like what it was like for you while you were building it before you knew it would be a success, before it had like the traction and impact that it was having. I was wondering if you can take us to that time when it was just like it was coming off the ground and you're like, all right, I'm going to build something out in the world. You might let us know about like some of the things that were going through your mind and what you had to like navigate.
Well, my history was I wanted to be a journalist, and I had a child young. I had a child when I was 20, and I was in college. I was thinking, should I be a journalist or should I be a novelist? And once I had a kid, I had to be a journalist. That was my goal. um, at, at, uh, at, as I was coming out of college, and I got through an absolute stroke of God wanting me to be in a place where I wanted to be, that I've been trying to get into. I was guided to be at a New York newspaper I wanted to work at because I admired their writing so much. Um, so I ended up there, and I spent 10 years there, and I learned a lot. I had some great achievements. Um, but one of them was I wrote a series about LSD and its uses in its broader uses, and as well as its cultural effects. They ran it as a 5-part series, and they loved it. And they asked me what I wanted to do next, and I said I want to do a series on uh, modern therapy practices and drug treatment. Because at that time there was a lot of buzz about these therapy houses that were open, Phoenix House, etc. This goes back obviously some years. And so I went and sat in therapy groups for about 6 months, and then I wrote a series. But what I came away from from that was that as people learned a different mindset and some skills to deal with their behaviors and their feelings, and not necessarily have to narcotize them with drugs and alcohol. I saw people change. I saw people get their act together more, piece by piece, not perfectly, but I saw it. So that planted in me the belief that I already suggested, which is um, all human behavior and mindsets results from how you're trained to be in the world. And if you train yourself different to be in the world and deal with your emotions differently, deal with your mindsets differently, deal with your relationships differently, you're going to get a very different outcome. So that stuck with me. So throughout my career, wherever I was, human development was a coverage. So I started the LA Weekly years later, also through an act of God. The way it happened, I had After I left the newspaper, I was freelancing, and I had my idea for my own magazine. And then a character like Larry Flint got interested in that magazine, and then he got interested in me, and it didn't work out. That magazine, he wanted to do something that wasn't pornographic. So I took a ride with him. And I ended up as an interim to doing the magazine. He asked me to. He moved to Los Angeles, bought a newspaper there, and they wanted me to revive and Dying or Weekly. I did. I went and brought in a great group of people to it on his dime. He got shot. They closed down the paper immediately. His team, his office. I had this great team. We knew we were going to be successful. So I started our own paper, the LA Weekly, and we were an overnight success. And then we just grew it to be a massive presence and had a lot of major effect in Los Angeles, because the team I put together was just such brilliant people and some brilliant writers and thinkers, and we just had a great deal of fun. So, learning from that was, for me, was stay true to your vision. Basically, my vision was I want to transform journalism. I want to do something in journalism that would be really striking. I was good at it at my newspaper. I broke some new ground for them there, and then I had this idea for this national magazine, which never got launched, but it would have broken new grounds. And the deal with Flint was, I'll start the newspaper, then you fund the magazine. But the weekly turned out to be a huge success. And then I moved on to start a TV network that didn't work out. But it had the same theme, the same basic theme. There's information and ways of being in the world that we need to present to the public that will make a difference in people's lives in a big way. So even now, if I meet people as I go around town, anybody who was in those years, the high point years of the weekly, they just hug me and say, "Oh my God, you changed my life. You enriched my life." So, basically a message carrier for that for that mission. And about 10 years ago, I discovered the social emotional learning movement through a friend of mine who said, called me up and said, "There's this school in Chatsworth you must go to. My sister's on the board. They've had the most remarkable turnaround because they introduced these emotional training programs, these life skills training programs that you always wrote about. They're meant for kids. They call it social emotional learning. You go there." I went there. I saw the most amazing kids. I wished every adult who knew how to solve their conflicts the way these kids did. I saw 10-year-olds in group circles that I thought I would put these people in the White House compared to some of the absolute idiots I met as a journalist there. These crazy. And so then I looked into the movement and thought, what's happening with this? And it turned out it was in maybe 5% of schools. Nobody knew about it in the country. Parents didn't know about it. Anybody else didn't know about social motion? No. So I thought, well, here's a good mission. So I started to equip our kids as a pro bono nonprofit marketing campaign for the movement. And, I developed relationships with the educators at the grassroots level who were promoting the movement. They needed a lot of help in terms of media. So I made media for them. I independently did media. Then we started building out more of these grassroots organizations. I started the California one, which, this where you have boots on the ground of educators lobbying. So I started the California one. And we now have spun it off as a separate with a great organization with have a great executive director. We now have 5,000 members, and they've really made a difference in getting getting districts and legislatures and the governor's office behind this. So we've got money come in to get these in schools in, of course, California. And we still work with 30 some odd organizations, 35 organizations around the country, providing media for them. And now, because of cutbacks in federal funding, we've been training the leaders of these organizations and how to bring the business world into supporting social emotional learning, which the business world really needs, matches up totally with their hiring needs, the qualities of hiring they need. So we're training them to be the boots on the ground now to get the corporate world involved and active in supporting this. They've been way behind where they should be. And our model is, they spent 10 years promoting science, technology, entertainment, and math. A couple of hundred majors got together. They spent $1.2 billion to get more of this in schools, and we want to do exactly the same for social emotional learning. So, we've got to get meetings with them and show them the reasons to do this. So we're starting. That's our campaign for this year.
I love it. I love it here. And Outliers, as I'm hearing what you're saying, Jay, I'm like Outliers. We have people in our world where like if there's a connection that should be made here, like let's make this. Let's continue to be like, if you're cool with it, Jay, let's continue to uplift this movement in a meaningful way. All right.
Sure.
Jay, as you were talking, there were some things that were flowing through. So, firstly, just I didn't realize how much I resonate with what you're saying. Like, as we talk, I not only just pay attention to the words that are being said, but like what it's like how my body responds to the words that are being said. Right? And for me, there was a general level of both excitement. It took my breath away at a certain point, which was really lovely. I look forward to those moments where I'm like, oh, like he's really going for it. And as you were talking, some of the things that were going through my mind was, I was picking up like a few different things. One of them was like the incremental progress, and I don't want to say incremental. I want to say like over time, how things have gone over time, And so
Right.
I want to kind of speak to that because I think that there's something here around allowing time to grow for itself. My mission, like with all the things I do with Outliers Edge, underneath it all is I just want to see a world where everyone belongs. And it's just, like that's it, or they know that they belong. You were talking about like leaders in the White House. I'm like, yeah, like what would happen if like the outliers out there were leading? And it's really cool. Like I'm really in. There's a lot that's coming online, just seeing how the connections come together to actualize on the vision and to actualize on the mission in a meaningful way. So I just said a bit there that this was part of like my reflection of it as it was coming to me. And if anyone who's watching here, if you have any questions for Jay, like please put in the comment. If there's something here that you want to say to him, please bring it in. We'll incorporate that in our conversation. Jay, the question for me right now is, I'm thinking about any outliers. I want to go. We have people who listen to this across the spectrum. People who are in a similar position to you, or have done things that are getting ready to do something like this, and people who are like at a different stage of their journey where they're like, all right, I have this bold idea, and I don't know how to even like get that moving forward, right? So maybe we can spend some time talking to each of those people along the way, right? We'll start at the beginning, and we'll go to someone like that. That's like, hey, this Jay gets it. We have the same thing. We may be bringing our mission to life in a different way, but we have the same thing going on. So, what would you say to someone who has that kind of like bold vision there, and this might even tie back to the social emotional like learning piece of it. But what would you say to that person who's like trying to bring a bold vision out to life that really hasn't been done before? I don't even want to say advice, but like, what would you say to that person?
Um, uh, well, I mean, what's coming up for me is three words: patience, persistence, and opportunity.
Mm,
Right? Alertness to opportunity. So, um, uh, patience means uh, they're going to be. It's going to take. If you really want to make significant change, that means a lot of people need to be changed, right? So, if you can do something magical, that's alchemical, and that's natural for you, and it really like takes hold. Like you make a podcast, you do something that everybody is attracted to, and it changes minds. Absolutely, go for it. Try it out. Try out your best self. Put it out there and see how people respond to it. That's great. If you're trying to build a movement for something like I am, or a business that has clients behind it, then the steps are very open to where the opportunities may be, because the world will present them as they come along. Stay flexible. Uh, be patient about the rewards. What St. Augustine said, the rewards of patience is patience, meaning don't give up. Stay steady. Steadfast about the stuff. Watch for your opportunities, right? Don't be afraid to reach out and check in with a lot of different people. That's the persistence part. You know, is it this person be? Is it an ally with that person? So, so it's more like being prepared for the long haul, but ready to seize opportunities as you see as they come along. Right? I'm here talking to you today because I sensed just from your how you presented, this might be an opportunity to reach more people, right? There's something about your style and likeness, and even I thought, what is this? What's this guy doing? I even don't know the end outcome. But there's something about you that opened me up to thinking. So I went with that instinct. So I'm glad I did because I'm enjoying our conversation. You're asking the right question. So so you follow your inner calling, and set have your North Star and say, this is my North Star, and the path there, it may be this and this and this, or it might be, wow, you don't know. But stay with your best instincts, and be aware of opportunities. Never
Outliers.
dismiss somebody as a no opportunity. Yeah.
No, I really want to capture that in here, like outliers. Like this is this element of having the awareness, keeping the awareness open, leaning into it. I have a friend. He said he calls it hop on the op. When the
Mhm.
opportunity comes down there, like make sure to hop on it. Jay, there's a as you were talking, there was something that was coming here that I wanted to see. Right now, you're probably someone that has a lot of opportunities coming your way, right? And so you're probably more in a stage of like where it's like, what do you say yes or no to? And I'm curious about like some of like your decision and like what you use to be able to make the decision to say yes or no here, especially given that you are someone that's on a mission. How do you, yeah, given all the opportunities that are out there, how do you use that and what's your way to discern?
So the way I use opportunities is the recognition from going forward is one. There's two ones. One is um, there's some people are going to be your natural allies, right? And you need to really lean into those people. And other people are going to give you lip talk, or not uh, not get it, or be crazy their own lives and don't feel they have the bandwidth. And maybe you need to learn to talk to that organization, those kind of people in a different kind of way. Um, but the core of at least the way is develop a few allies around you, the people who you really depend on, who are who can be your eyes and ears. Recognize if you're taking on something tough, right, that the world is not ready for. What do you need to do to increase your own experience and gain, make yourself better? In other words, if I want to talk to a certain audience differently, who can help me talk to that audience differently in a better way? And if my mindset is not as strong as I might need to be, what inner work do I need to do to be able to make myself effective? So there's the constant sense of what are my limitations and what do I need to learn? So, I mean, just in the last couple, 2, 3 months, I put myself into a training uh, with that teaches me a different mindset of being able to be in a non-judgmental collective mindset of seeing myself as everyone. It's just a practice that opens up more opportunities for me to have a different mindset about where I think where I'm having limitations or the world's not working for me. So that kind of training, it differs with everybody, but to keep yourself in the sense that if I don't feel I'm really fully awake and manifesting like that, and that, then what's the next learning that might put me in that kind of state of more manifestation? So there's
Okay, now
always inner work to do as well as the outer work to do.
I actually want to go deeper on the inner work with you if you're cool with it, Jay. Especially as someone
Sure.
you said like human development has been something that's been key for you throughout your entire journey, correct?
Hmm. Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what was interesting to me? So, as you were saying, Jay, I'll if you're cool, I'm just going to keep like reflecting back, like, all right, this is the impact your conversations having on me.
Okay.
What was really fun for me was typically I like to go into a place of like stepping on your edge and then like dealing with not just discomfort but courage, right? Something that
Uh-huh.
feels vulnerable to you that requires like a higher level of courage. And what was interesting to me was the way that you talked about like just learning new skills. And so I want to what because the question I thought I would ask you would be something related to courage, and I felt like the answer might be like, well, just like I learned new skills along the way. So let me just check in on two things. Firstly, because you are
Mhm.
human, like, are there things that you're taking on right now that gives you? My manager called it once sweaty palms. That are the things that you're taking on right now that like put you in a place where you're feeling like, oh, this is like this actually requires a lot more from me. That's like I'm feeling more vulnerable related to it right now. Let me just ask you that for question first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely no question about that.
Nice.
The uh, so I don't want to get political here, but we're all living in a place where the government is being reduced in its spending, et cetera. Whether you support that or not, it's having an effect in some areas, and one of those areas is the education world, which is have to on lots of fronts has to do major adjustments. So the uh, that put, especially the world I'm in, the social emotional learning curriculum world, that put that into great threats because the current administration doesn't like that. They consider it to be woke rather than essential development, child development so the kids can be really healthy, functional in the world rather than screwing themselves up, hating each other, doing violence, crime, et cetera, et cetera. So the um, so recognize recognizing that that was going to be happening in advance, um, I started thinking that the best step, the best antidote to that, is to get the business community behind social emotional learning the way it got behind STEM.
Mm.
Uh, as I mentioned earlier. So in that context, I made a case. I began organizing couple of our board members and reaching out to other people who had contacts with the business leaders in the world. There's just a few. There are a few people I know who really do. And the idea is let's build a base of business leaders who will take this on themselves. And follow up with the model of the STEM. So I built a small council around me of people who could talk to. We developed some materials for that. We developed a deck. We developed marketing materials, and they started reaching out to the people they knew. We started getting some interesting meetings, and those meetings, the moment the tariffs were announced, those meetings were canceled. So there we go. We're starting to early roll with some real interesting players. I mean, major corporation leaders. We had about 4 of them, and with potentially more to come. And suddenly they were all gone. Everybody was in crisis around the tariffs stuff, and all meetings were canceled. So what are we going to do next? What are we going to do now? So that's when, we collectively decided to punt to the next step, which was training the team, the people on the grassroots level to be out there. So in November, we did our first training for the leaders, as I mentioned, and then we stopped. We got incredible feedback. It kind of revitalized the movement. And they saw a way that they could talk to their local merchants and get help, their local chambers of commerce, Rotary clubs, as well as how to deal with major corporations. So that was our punt, and now we're still working that and looking to set up, now we're doing outreach to others, people, to see if we can have people help us set up new meetings at any level. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does in a real way. And there's some elements here. And Jay, every once in a while, I'm just going to keep calling in outliers. Like we get to be a part of this to any extent here. So as Jay is sharing the vision, as he's sharing what they're actually working on right now, if you have a connection, if there's someone in your world that like it would that can move the needle or move something forward when it comes to social emotional learning. Like Jay, what might be a way that an outlier who's listening to this might be able to get in contact with you around it?
So people want to contact me. The easy one is remember the words equip our kids, the EQUIP OUR kids, and we're nonprofit, so it's .org. So go to our website, check it out, equipourkids.org. And to reach me, just do contact@equipourkids.org. Something really easy, contact@equipourkids.org. And I definitely welcome meeting new people, seeing how in your world, I might guide you to be able to do something. You might be able to help me support the, it's like you can go to your local schools, you can introduce me to some some leaders in your business associations or whatever. There's always something people can do, because we all know people in business, we all know people who have causes around education, or might want to ally around this. And the question is, do you feel comfortable activating those connections. Or you,
Thanks there. Thanks, Jay. Like I want to make sure that we have like clear parts around this. Jay, we have a few minutes before we start wrapping up, but I wanted to pull out some things that I think I was hearing in terms of uh,
uh-huh.
I, I kind of want to look at this and be like, like what is Jay's path, like general pathway
Mhm.
to unique success? We'll use that as a language here. Your general pathway to unique success. So I've been listening to some of the stories that you've been sharing, and I'm going to share some of the things that I was hearing as like consistent throughout some of the things that you brought up. And I'm not going to be right. So my ask here is like I'll share to you some of the things that I feel like I'm hearing and I'm seeing from you, Jay.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're still in
Okay.
connection. So, like, in case you didn't hear that, there, what I like to do is, like, as I was listening to what you were saying, there were some things that came up as kind of like through lines, like in the various stories that you're sharing, the various ways that you're building things. I'm like, oh, I'm hearing these things kind of show up more consistently. So I'm gonna kind of say, like, all right, from my standpoint, from where I'm sitting, I'm gonna say this is part of what like Jay's like journey, like pathway to success. Like when he's able to pull these levers, things happen. All right. That being said, I'm gonna get it wrong because I'm on the outside listening, listening with my filter, right? So I'm gonna share
Right.
what I think I'm hearing, and my ask of you in this part here is for you to course correct, to calibrate, and to say like it looks like this on the outside, but internally this is what's taking place, right?
Hmm.
And I think I'd like to get that going on. Are you good with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So some of the things that I feel like I hear from you, like come to one, set a goal that like not only lights you up but lights other people up with it. From
Hmm.
changing from the way that you're in business to now with equip our kids and social emotional learning. Like you have something that's much larger than yourself, and
Hmm.
and that always seems to be a part of that. That seems
Right.
to have been consistent. Two, um, build an incredible team or coalition around it. So
Hmm.
you have your the board back when you're building out the LA Weekly. You're like, we have the team. Like we can make something amazing come from this here. But it's not go at it yourself or go at it alone. It's really like bring on like yeah, it's really bring on an exceptional group of people who can help, who believe in it and can go along with
Absolutely.
this. Okay. All right. Cool.
Absolutely. Really important to have people who are smart in the world as your allies and um, people.
We lost you just for a bit there, Jay. You'll come back on it in just a bit. So, outliers, do we have any moments or questions? Like bring them into the chat. Jay's back with us now. Welcome back, Jay. Um, you were saying.
I'm saying, yeah, I mean, everybody who's out there should have mentors, advisors, and counselors who expand their world and their not only their mental world and their emotional world, but really extend their contacts in the world. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And then I'll leave it at three for just today. There's more than this here, but the third thing that I think I was capturing is and maybe this is because I'm very sensitive to this myself, but you solve real world problems, right? Big picture, big
Right.
goals. Like we're gonna change an industry. We're gonna change the way that people relate. We're gonna like look at how we can help children and people in the education system learn social emotional learning. But like I find that you keep tying it back to like a real problem that someone is facing. Like even when you came to like the to going into businesses, you're like they will be like this would really solve some of their hiring concerns. This would solve some of their leadership like concerns
Right.
over the long run. Like it isn't just nice to do. There's a real world problem that's coming in here. So those are the things that kept sticking out for me. One, setting a vision large enough that other people can come be a part of it. Two, actually
Hmm.
bringing on an exceptional group of people who want to bring this out to life, whether through direct like compensation as a members of your team or through like boards and coalitions and you mentioned some of the things you have together with equip our kids that are out there. You brought in other people to support you, and then the third one here is like bring it to real world as well. Like make sure that it actually feels tangible to them based on the things that people are trying to accomplish. I'll leave those three there. What like calibrate me here, Jay. How did I do on that? Like, what are some of the things that
Yeah.
look like it on the outside, but maybe something else is playing out on the inside?
Yeah. Oh, you did terrific. I think really, really good. I mean, that what we're talking there is process issues, right?
Yeah.
How do you process your day to day life and success? But the North Star for me it could be everybody's North Star. It's the simple recognition, and it's a really important recognition that uh, when you sing the song, imagine all the world living life in peace, you add, it's a skill set. You can't just imagine, you have to learn the skills. And if you want the world to change and stuff around you, it's like I learned when I was 23 years old, and that City and Drug Addiction says it's a skill set. You can learn, there's skills you can learn to manage it differently. And before you become addicted with the hard skills are already, learn those skills. For adults, I always say minimum, go take find a course in nonviolent communication. That's a good starter for everybody, right? And then basically recognize that it's not fixed. It's not a fixed world. It's really a world in total flux, and we're the agents of that flux, and we can change it once we change our minds and have the skills to change the way we respond in the world to other people and to events. That's have that faith
Yeah.
and go. Have that faith and go for it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm appreciative of you. Thanks for having faith in this conversation. Outliers, like I reached out to Jay, he hadn't heard of me, like, and he said yes to this opportunity. This is how things go. Like I'll let you know. We're gonna wrap up for today. What I'll do is I'll share a bit of my insight, make sure that outliers know how they can continue on with you, and then I like to get one insight from you before we leave. All right.
Mhm.
So I'll wrap. I've shared throughout the conversation some of like what you were saying and the impact that it had on me. I think I'll close this conversation with one more of those here, and I think that the like how I'm different as a result of this conversation today is that through this conversation I've come to realize. Let me take a breath and just see real quick. I think what's really coming in is recognizing that where we start and where like is not where we end. However, that
Mhm.
patience, that persistence part of it comes in, and staying true to the mission, regardless of how it ends up showing up in the world. There's a part of me that right now, Jay, I realize that I have been playing much smaller with the goals that I've been trying to get than I've needed to, and trying to go for what I think I can get as opposed to what is actually required. You're
Mhm.
like, let's go and like we got to do the STEM thing with this. Great. Who do we need to talk to? Let's make sure we're going there. And I realized that there's an element of that I'm leaving this conversation and saying like I'm ratcheting that up to a higher level going forward as a result of this.
Mhm.
For yourself, I would like to wrap each conversation with us letting outliers know how they can go deeper down the journey with you. For anyone that would like to
Mhm.
do that, and then I'll also like to leave the floor open for you to share any insight if you had, if any, as a result of this conversation. I say every time we have a conversation, the whole point is to change our world a bit. So, like, if
Mhm.
anything came to you, I'd love to hear. And then we'll wrap for today.
So, I mean, I think you're on the right track. I mean, it's good. You're asked the right questions, and if people take you seriously, which I think they should, and what you're presenting, then go for it. What else? The last, I'll actually share the last training I'm with because I think it's really interesting. Um, it's with a woman named Barbara Berti, Berti, Barbara Berti, and her. I think if you um, the you can So I'm thinking what the name of her website is. Multiverse. Yeah, I think it's multi. She calls this Barbara Berti, Berti, Multiverse, Multiverse. Um, it's a very interesting kind of training, of mindset training for overcoming your your beliefs of what's possible in the world and what you are able to affect. It's a kind of meditation practice or inner practice, and it's very interesting, unique and interesting. So I would recommend people check her out. Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Well,
Okay.
we'll wrap up our conversation here. Outliers, until the next time we talk, be you on purpose. And there's someone out there who this conversation was specifically for. Please go and share this conversation with them so that this continues to grow and that we can continue to grow the movement and the mission all together. Jay, I
Mhm.
appreciate you. Until the next time we all talk.
And I appreciate you.